Good morning, everyone. This is Patrick, Comics and Collectibles. And this morning, I will be going over the work that I did yesterday morning. But before I get into it, as you know, I always have some admin notes before I get started because there's always something that I need to point out. And in this case, it is the dim light again. I'm in my garage. And also the fan. Even though it's early in the morning and the weather's starting to cool down, it's still a little warm in the garage. So you may hear my fan blowing in the background. Hopefully it doesn't drown me out. And I think that's it. Let's jump right into this, folks. Oh, one more thing before I get into it. In case you've been wondering about that quirky Carnage and the alien that I'm working on, those projects are still gonna happen. I've just been distracted by these cracks. I'm trying to correct all of that before anything major happens with one of my 3D models. Those are still going to happen, but I'm also trying to figure out the best way to fix that right there. And as for the alien, I don't want to rush that because if I do anything wrong, it's just going to mess it all up. So I'm taking my sweet, precious time with the alien. So right now, I think my next project is going to be the monster creature here and the snake lady right there. I'll talk more about that in a moment because I haven't really worked on a project in a while and I'm kind of antsy about getting back on a project instead of doing all this other stuff. But this has to be done to maintain my collection. All right, let's talk about this. This was coated with resin, as you can probably tell. That's all the shiny, watery looking stuff. And it looks nice, but before I coated this with the resin, it had this dull black look, and I really did like that look. It was just nice, and I liked it. But in order to preserve this and keep this clay from cracking and peeling any further, I had to coat it with the resin. So I'll have to make that sacrifice for looks. And let me see. Now these skulls, they have little magnets. I was able to lift up all of the skulls because I could just lift them up and put them back down on the magnet, but now they are attached. So I'll have to live with that. And my Q-tips are, okay, I'm gonna have to cut my Q-tips out because this is where the statue pegs into. Oh yeah, they're in there pretty good. All right, I'll have to take care of that. Hold on, I'll be right back. This is the silk statue. Yesterday I partially filled the head and hair with some resin, and I still have to put some more in here. The body is, I'm going to say, over 3/4 filled. This thing is really heavy. And one word of advice, folks, and I have to emphasize this: this is not a how-to-do channel. Maybe when I get better at this statue stuff and 3D model stuff, I'll start doing how-to videos. But in the meantime, it's just I'm showing you how I do it, and I am learning. I know nothing about 3D models repair, Jon Snow. Just keep that in mind, folks. So keep this in mind. When you use this resin, it will get hot if it's too thick. And I forgot that rule yesterday when I was pouring resin into this. It got really hot. It was so hot that I had to set it outside. It was cool outside, so I set it outside for a while to let it cool down, and that helped a lot. I thought it might start cracking. I thought it might start cracking the model, but fortunately it did not. No cracks anywhere, still after sitting overnight, and I'm grateful for that. So this is, did I say it was 3/4 filled? I think I did. Anyway, I'm going to fill this up. The cut take two. I will be filling up the rest of this morning. I think this is going to become my first fully filled 3D model. Wait, no, that one is, this one is mostly filled, so I think that's the first one. This will be my second one. And these are the limbs for it. I have to fill these up, and I have to drill bigger holes so that my large funnel can fit into here. So I'll be doing that. All right, I'll be back. And these two will be my next project that I start working on while I'm waiting on the other projects. And this is going to be a 2-for-1 video, or rather 2-for-1 project. So I'll be working on these two simultaneously, the snake woman and the monster creature. And these are going to become customized characters from the Many Colored Land books. They are called Furvylags. But I'll get more into that later. But the plan for today with these two is to do some sanding and filing to get these, to get all of these. Oh, she about to fall down. Let me get this off. I have to sand down all of these parts here where it glues together, get those nice and smooth. Then glue these together. Same with him and his tail. Do some more body work. Try to scrape off some of this excess stuff, especially with this one. This has been a pain in my side since I started working on these, but it's all for learning, folks. This is a learning experience for me. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, or maybe the night before, I don't remember. Anyway, where's my pointer? There, no, this will do. Yesterday I was drilling a hole into the back, and it made a crack right here, went all the way down to her bottom of her hair. Also, while I was drilling, somehow I think I pulled too hard. Was I in focus? I don't think I was focused. I was pulling too hard on this arm, and I pulled it off. There was already a crack right here. And when I pulled on it, it just pulled the arm all the way off. So I had to glue this back on last night. I put some glue on this to keep it from cracking any further, I hope. And I cannot afford to put any more resin into this because, as we know, that stuff is expensive. So I decided to fill up the rest of it with air dry clay. That's what the white stuff is. And I'll coat this with a layer of epoxy clay, or maybe I'll just put some glue over it, or you know what, maybe some resin. Yeah, that'll work. This resin is really sticky. It sticks like glue. So I'll put a thin layer of resin over this, and that'll be it for this one. And as you can see, there's a lot of excess resin all over this thing, especially this. And I don't know if the face is clear, but pretty much destroyed her face with extra resin. It just ran everywhere. All right, now this one. This is gonna be fun right here working on this thing. There's so much going on with this. And I did make some mistakes with this. As you can probably tell, there's resin on him too, but being a type of creature he is, the excess dripping resin kind of just blends in with the rest of his body, so that's not going to be an issue. I think that, ooh, almost punctured my glove. I think the biggest thing with this is going to be trying to scrape off this excess resin slash Play-Doh, because once that Play-Doh mixed up with the resin, it became hard. So now I'm catching hell trying to get it off of there. But if it comes right down to it, I'll just cover it up with some paint and call it a day. Let me see. Oh, and I have to plug that hole I'll put there to insert the resin. And I think that's it, folks. Anxious to get started on these. All right, and let's see. I got two more back here. Hold on, I got resin on my glove. I'll be back. something over here still has some wet resin on it, and I don't know what it is. I just don't want to get that all over my phone and all over everything else. And I cannot tell where it's coming from. All right, I'll drive on. Also, yesterday I coated this wooden plaque with resin. As you can see, it did not turn out too well. If anyone can tell me, why does it not fill in? Can you see those spots right there? Okay, those spots are where the resin would not fill in completely. I dripped resin onto it, started spreading the resin out, and then once it started drying, it would form these little spots right here where the resin just, let me give you a better shot. Now you can see the resin just wouldn't quite stick to those areas. Now, before I painted this, I did research on applying resin to wood, and the guy advised putting a base coat of resin on the wood, but he was working with unpainted wood. So in my mind, I wasn't sure if that rule applied to painted wood or not, but I guess it does because I didn't have a base coat on. So what I'm going to do is put another coat on, and hopefully it will stick to these spots this time, because I like the look of it. I just want it to be completely covered. Oh, now you can get a really nice look at the paint on there. And I'm proud of this. I painted that myself. So hopefully I can correct that. All right, let's move on. This carnage, let me see, can you see the resin? I'll pick it up and you get a better look at it in a moment, but I just wanted to get a good shot. I'm always looking for a good thumbnail. That could be one. All right, let's see. Now I also put some resin on this, and as you can see, it also had the spots right there where the resin just wouldn't stick to it. So I'll put more resin on this. All right, well, that's it for yesterday, folks. Right now I'm about to mix up another batch of resin, fill up the rest of that silk model, and then get started on this right here. All right, so if you're interested in this type of content, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting the channel. Bye. I think that's going to be my thumbnail right there. Let me see. Yeah, right. Hold on, right there. I think that's it. Get it in the light. That looks nice. Hold on. There we go. That's it. Yeah. Hold on. That light needs to catch it right there. All right, folks. Bye.